Everybody, glad that you're here. Thank you for coming. If you're visiting with us this morning, this is your first time, thank you for being here. It's good to have you with us, and we're glad you chose to be in worship with us this morning. We're in the last week of our summer series that we've been doing. Started this in June, called Say What, and we've just spent the last several weeks looking at some of these really challenging things that Jesus taught to his disciples, and those things that were recorded for us, and things that really kind of rub up against the culture in a major way, not even in a minor way, in a major way as we live in this culture and in this world. The things that Jesus teaches us and challenges us with really flies in the face of what the world is screaming at us and trying to teach us. And it's been good. I don't know about you, but there's several of these, if not all of them, have really challenged me and really made me kind of look at how, I can still kind of have a grip on the world in a lot of ways with my heart, and it's been good. And we've really looked at a lot. I mean, we've whether it's dealing with anger, I don't know if we want to go way back and talking about dealing with how we deal with our anger and losing our temper, and revenge, or looking at worry and our hearts when it comes to worry and why we really worry. Another big one was loving our enemies and what that looks like and how challenging that is. We looked at our hearts and its connection to our money, the things that we own, and where our hearts are and where our treasure really is. We've looked at priorities and whether or not we've placed him above all else or he's just amongst everything else. Remember that one? Just really challenging things that have messed with me. I don't know about you, but they've messed with me this summer in a good way. And it's been a good summer of heart check. Even going back to last week, if you were here, the seriousness of sin. Man, what a great reminder for us. Sometimes we like to dabble in it a little bit still. And we were reminded last week that it is serious. The seriousness of sin. It's been a good summer, been a good check on our hearts, and I hope it's been good for you as well. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to get into our last one before next week we move on to a couple of different things in the next couple of weeks. But let's pray, and then we'll jump back in. Father, once again we just thank you for this time that we have together, and I thank you for all who are here, Lord, that you've brought us into this place so we could worship and give to you, give back to you. Lord, remember how good you are and who you are, Father, and who we are in you. And Lord, I thank you for the time that we have together to encourage one another and just be together as a family and as your children. And I just pray that you will keep reminding us of how important this time is, and what Sunday mornings can look like and should look like, Father, as we gather in your name, that it's just not just playing church, but way more than that. And Lord, we just pray your help with that. And God, I just want to offer this time to you now, and Holy Spirit, we know that you lead us through your scriptures and you speak, and may we listen and may we hear, and I pray that this will be your truth and nothing less than that, that you would speak through me, get me out of the way here, Father, that things will be clear and we would understand it, and that understanding means not just logging it in as knowledge, but plugging it into our lives as we leave this building and we go out and do our thing this week, God, that we would be the church out there. Help us understand that starts with us as individuals. It starts with me and my heart. So keep changing my heart, Lord, and we just offer this to you, and I pray that you would get the glory for it, and that people would see you in us. We just pray these things in your name. Amen. All right, I think I know the answer to this question, but has anyone ever played hide and seek? Raise your hand. Okay, probably all of us at some point, right? Growing up, I know even as moms and dads, we play hide and seek with our kids all the time. We were when they were little. Actually, not even that long ago, honestly. And that house has got lots of places to hide. And it's fun, and we all know the rules, right? You got a seeker who's it, and they have to go to another room or hide behind the tree or wherever you're at, and you have a certain number you count to, whether that's 1 to 10, or if you're real mean, you make them count to 100. And what is it that they yell when they're done counting? Ready or not, here I come, right? Now here's a question, okay? And I'm guessing you probably have been here before. Have you ever been in the process of hiding, and when they yelled ready or not, you weren't ready? Not fun, is it? Like, it's frustrating. It's aggravating. It's like, wait. I remember my kids getting angry. I wasn't ready. And I'm not ready, Dad. Wait. Add another 10. I'm not ready. And I remember being a kid and not being ready. I remember being an adult and my kids, counting really fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not ready. It stinks because you lose. And then you're the first one. You're the one that has to go seek. And I would much rather hide. And it can be frustrating. Right? Ready or not? This morning, as we kind of wind this down, we're going to kind of look at a ready or not moment, and hopefully this will make sense as we walk into this. But Mark chapter 13, and we're really gonna kind of concentrate on the last part of this. The scholars call this the Olivet Discourse, as Jesus is teaching 4 of his disciples, we hear. And I want to hit the end of this because it's really the kind of the punch of it. And sometimes we get lost in some of this other things, and I'll explain that here in a minute. But I want to just give a little bit of context before we read what we're going to read, okay? Here in chapter 13, Jesus and his disciples are leaving Jerusalem, they're leaving the temple. They end up on the Mount of Olives, and then he ends up with just 4 guys. He ends up with Peter, James, John, and Andrew. And they're asking questions about the fall of Jerusalem, what it means that, not one stone will be left on top of another. And hopefully some of you read this beforehand. If you saw that on Facebook, I hope you did. If not, go home and read this so you can get a little more context. But they're wanting to know more. What's that mean, and what's the future look like? And so Jesus begins to tell them some things and share with them some events and what's going to happen in the future, but really not in a ton of detail either. He just gives them some things to think about and to be aware of, and even warning them. He warns them, I believe, right away in verse 5 there. If I'm correct, I'm going to look, make sure. Yep, that there are going to be false messiahs. There are going to be people who are coming to deceive you, coming in his name, claiming to be the Messiah, claiming some of these things that just aren't true. Watch out for them, he says. Watch out for them. He warns them and talks about what's to come, like wars and rumors of war. Some of this is going to sound familiar to you if you've read this. He reminds them that persecution is coming. And will come. And then he also reminds them, look, I'm going to come back again, and I'm going to gather all those who belong to me and to be with me. And so leading up to verse 32, that's kind of it in a nutshell. And I want to read this. And I understand some of you are probably already annoyed with me because we're not spending a lot of time before this, and then that's okay. There's a ton of stuff here, and scholars have debated chapter 13 for years and years and years and what this means, and we're not going to debate this morning. That's not why I've come. That's not what I want to concentrate on. Is what is the meaning of some of these mysteries? I would like to get to the end of this where Jesus is very clear and gives us something solid to land on. And that's kind of what we're going to land on this morning. That's my prayer and hope is we'll walk out very clear in what he wants to say to us, because I believe he is in verses 32 through 37. So, what's most important here as the disciples are asking what's ahead, right? Anybody else want to know some of that stuff? Lord, what's coming? We kind of tend to do that. What's ahead of the future? Tell me these things. And he gives them a picture, but he doesn't go into a lot of detail, but he closes with this. Let's read it. So verse 32, here as Jesus is talking about his return, listen to what he says. No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on guard. Be alert. You do not know when that time will come. It is like a man going away. He leaves his house and puts his servants in charge, each with his assigned task, and tells the one at the door to keep watch. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know when the owner of the house will come back, whether in the evening, or at midnight, or when the rooster crows, or at dawn. If he comes suddenly, do not let him find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to everyone, watch. All right. So this morning, really, what we want to do is, I know I was going to simplify this, and again, some of you this might bother you, but I want to simplify it in one thing here: these verses. All right, and that's basically this. And I think this is a great reminder for us right now: is we need to stay awake. Stay awake, and I'm not talking about physically. Some of you are already nodding off. Stay awake. I'm talking about spiritually, and that's what this is talking about. Stay awake. Jesus is being really clear to start things off here with, as we read this and what he's been talking about, his return, his second coming. Did you catch that in verse 32? No one knows about the day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only who? So what does that mean? Who knows when he's coming back? Only the Father. Nobody else. Okay? And again, we got to really... we got to look at that. He's very clear. No one knows the day or the hour when Jesus is coming back. Not the angels, not the Son, not himself, as he refers to himself there. Only the Father. Only God knows. And this really goes back to even those several verses as he's reminding them, warning them. There's people that are going to say that I'm the Messiah. There's people that are going to try to deceive you, to say maybe he's already come. He's saying no one knows. No one. Only the Father knows. And if you saw that in verse 33, he says what? Be on guard. Be alert. You don't know when this time will come. Again, he's warning of people who claim things that just aren't true in this context. They're just not true. Do people still claim things that aren't true these days when it comes to Jesus coming again, or even claiming to be the Messiah? We've had some people do that in our history. Still happens today. Still do that. People still try to pinpoint when the Messiah is coming, when Jesus is coming back. And again, Jesus makes it very clear here, nobody knows. We cannot pinpoint Jesus' return. We can't do it. So we need to watch out for this stuff. He says, be alert. Be on guard. We got to watch out for this stuff. And when those things are claimed and people are claiming these things, stay away. Be watchful. Be aware of these things, because those things are just not true. And even there are some of us here too, going in a little bit different direction, as well as we spend so much time studying some of these events that Jesus is talking about before this, and worrying about the details that Jesus doesn't really give here. And in reading into this stuff, we spend so much time and we worry so much about some of these things that have never been given, that there are people missing out on the mission that we have been given. Missing out on the purpose of why they're here and why we're here. Now listen, it's not wrong to study end times. I'm not saying that that's wrong. Okay, it's not necessarily wrong to study the end times. But if you're spending all your time studying the things that are the mysteries that we really don't know about, and I get it, they're a mystery and they're interesting, but if all we're doing is studying this, reading into it, and we're not making disciples, something's wrong. Guys, we've talked about some of this before. If all we do is study, And we're all caught up. And when's Jesus going to come back? And what's it going to look like? And what are the signs? And is that happening today? Is that happening 5 years from now? Is that going to happen 10 years from now? And that's all we do. And that's where our focus is. And that's how we're living our lives. And we totally ignore the commission that we've been given. Guys, there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. We can't ignore that. We can't neglect making disciples. When Mark records this, and when he's quoting Jesus here and what Jesus is teaching, this idea of watching, being alert, being ready, all these words are trying to say the same thing. And this idea, it's not an accident. All throughout chapter 13 conveys this idea of watch. Watch, be ready, be alert, be aware. This idea all throughout that chapter. New American Commentary says this: Mark's concerns throughout this were to warn against deception, right? Be on guard. For example, the claims that Christ had already returned, or that the end was about to take place. His purpose here was to promote devotion to Christian duty, to do what we're called to do. Now, just like these four guys, right, we just want to know more, right? There's something about us. That's why we gravitate towards that. I want to know more about the end. I want to know more, and I want to study it. And again, some of that's okay. And we're no different than these guys. Tell us more. What is this going to look like so we can see it and we can be ready? And we want the details. But here, Jesus doesn't give a lot of details. But one thing we do know, all right? One thing we do know is that God keeps His promises, right? He keeps His promises. And we see this all throughout this in our history. We know that God promised in the Old Testament over 300 times prophecies of the Messiah coming the first time. And He showed up, didn't He? Fulfilled every single one. We know that God has promised that Jesus will come back to receive those who belong to Him. Will He keep His promise? Yes. Guys, we know that for sure. When? I don't know, and neither do you. And you can't figure it out, and neither can I. We can't pinpoint that. Jesus was very clear. But we know He's coming back, and He will keep that promise. And He's coming back, listen, ready or not. And I don't think He'll yell that. But ready or not, He's coming back. He's coming back. And in here, in what Jesus is saying, and we're going to read it again, what here is Jesus is saying to His disciples, and we're going to read here to everyone, is be ready. Be ready. That's what He's saying. That's the gist of this. To me, and maybe this is just my opinion, and that's okay, is the meat of this, this is where we stand on this part, these last few verses. So Jesus goes on and he gives just a short parable, a short story, an illustration to share with these guys what He's talking about. Gives them a picture here. So let's read this again, all right? As He's reminding them and warning them, be on guard, be alert. You don't know when this is going to come. And then He says this: it's like a man going away. He leaves his house and puts his servants in charge, each one with his assigned task. And he tells the one at the door to keep watch. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know when the owner of the house will come back, whether it is in the evening or at midnight, or when the rooster crows, or at dawn. If he comes suddenly, do not let him find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to everyone. And what's He say? Watch. Watch. So again, what's Jesus' point? What's he getting across here? And He stay awake. And again, He uses the word, be alert, be on guard, watch. And we're talking spiritually here. We're talking about our heart. Be vigilant. Perform the task He's given you. Be faithful in that while He's gone. And I love verse 37. If you look at that again, he says this: what I say to you, and in this moment, who's He talking to? Peter, James, and John, and Andrew. But then what's He say? what I say to you four, guys, that's who I'm talking to. What I say to you, I say to everyone. What's the word? Watch. Watch. What I say to you, I say to everyone, watch. This word here, watch, means be wakeful. Be wakeful. In the act of wakefulness. Stay awake. Be wide awake. Be alert. And remember what he's already warned them of. False messiahs, deceivers, all these things that are going to happen. Be awake. Be watchful. Be alert. And I say this to everyone. Not just you four. But to everyone. Man, he can come at any time. And I say that out loud. Do we believe that? Really? He could come at any moment. Any moment. But do we really believe that? And the question that I even had to ask myself is, am I ready? Really? Am I awake right now? Spiritually? Am I alert? Am I being on guard? All kinds of questions running through my mind. Verse 36, again, look at this. If he comes suddenly, do not let him find you what? Sleeping. And again, it's this spiritual sleep. This sense here that he's getting across is the idea of spiritual negligence. Or being spiritually lethargic, asleep. And we've kind of talked about this before. It's not being ready. It's not being prepared. And we've mentioned this before quite a while ago, but that idea of sometimes we can kind of get into this mode of sleepwalking. Do you know what I mean? Not just in life itself, but even spiritually. And again, it reminds me of those old Dunkin' Donuts commercials when I was a kid. Do you remember the guy who would wake up really, really early and he's asleep and he's so tired, and what's he say? Very half-heartedly, time to make the donuts. I mean, he's just walking through the motions. Time to make the donuts. It's almost like that. Do you know what I mean? No, it's that idea of, Sunday morning, getting up, time to go to church, time to go to small group. Oh, I better get in the Word today. Oh, it's time for worship. And we can just kind of get in this sleepwalking, autopilot Christianity kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Guilty as charged. Spiritually lethargic. Asleep. And what we see Jesus saying here is, I can come back at any time. Don't let me find you sleeping. Be awake. Be watchful. Be aware. Be alert. Those are all those words all throughout this chapter. Be on guard. Be watchful. It's not the time to be sleeping. You think about it, there's times even physically it's not time to sleep. When you're at the wheel, it's not a good time to take a nap. Have you ever been really tired and your mind starts playing tricks on you? Have you ever been driving and you're so sleepy that your mind almost starts justifying just closing your eyes for just a minute? You ever been that tired? Oh, I have. Where it's okay if I just close my eyes just for a minute. Man, that's how tired he is. It's not good to fall asleep at the wheel. I remember, what about falling asleep on the job? What about falling asleep in church? Just kidding. But yeah, Mike, never, whatever. What about lying in church? I'll just tease. Oh boy. But honestly, falling asleep on the job, it made me think of this. For 2 summers in a row, I worked at Bluebird when I was in Mount Pleasant. And I did that for a summer job 2 summers while I was in college. And the second summer I worked there, I got to work on the chassis prep line, which was an awesome line. And Denny's here somewhere. I got to work on his line. And we had a guy that we hired one summer. And it was me, another gal, and then we hired this guy. And this guy, I kid you not, I don't know his name, doesn't matter. He would fall asleep standing up. We would see him leaning back on the workbench. We had 2 sides, and we each had our side that we worked on. And I would look over, and this guy would just be falling asleep on the job. happened all the time. And it got to the point where it was dangerous. You know, he didn't last long, 2 weeks, maybe. But I remember being up underneath the chassis, and I was putting on washer nozzles. That was one of my responsibilities, was attaching the washer hose nozzles. One of his jobs was taking a hole saw, which is not good when you're half asleep, and drilling a hole through the firewall so we could run the lines through. While I was doing my washer nozzle thing on the same side, he decided it's a good time to use his hole saw. Luckily, I had long sleeves on, and he punched through the firewall, and it grabbed a hold of my flannel and sucked my arm through the inside of that truck in the wall there. He wasn't awake. You know, maybe I wasn't. I should have stopped him. But it's just dangerous. Not a good time to be falling asleep. And again, that guy maybe 2 weeks he lasted. It's just not a good time to be asleep. And when we're asleep spiritually, bad things can happen. You know, we're deceived a whole lot easier when we're not awake, when we're not alert. We don't catch things. And how the enemy works is he takes little truths and twists it. If we're not alert, we're not on guard, we're not watchful, we may fall for some of those things. When we're sleepwalking, it's easy to become lazy. It's easy to become apathetic. And again, sometimes we can walk into this just ho-hum kind of attitude when it comes to our walk with Christ. And again, this sense here of sleeping, we can become spiritually lethargic pretty quickly, distracted pretty quickly. And I'm talking to myself, you guys. We lose our sense of intention and excitement and mission and purpose. Here's a big word, and urgency, because he's coming back again. And I was reminded of that this week. We don't have a lot of time here on this planet. And there are people who are lost. And we have totally, guys, as a whole, lost our sense of urgency. He's coming back. We don't know when. We don't know when. Man, and God forgive us when we get lazy in our walk. It reminded me of a story. Maybe some of you have heard this about an old mountaineer and his wife who were sitting in front of the fireplace one evening and just kind of wasting time and not doing a whole lot. And after a long silence, the wife said, "Hey, Jed, I think it's raining. Would you get up and would you go check?" Oh, the old guy just kind of staring into the fire for a little bit, and he'd give this big sigh, you know. It's kind of like sometimes when my wife asks me to do something, I'm like, you know, I'm busy doing nothing right now, you know. It's kind of what that's like. And he just gives this big sigh. He said, "Oh, Ma, you know, why don't we just call in the dog and see if he's wet?" You know, it's just this idea of laziness, and we can drift into that, and sometimes even apathy. I found this quote, and I don't know who said it, but it says this: "The nice thing about apathy is that you don't have to exert yourself to show you're sincere about it." And sometimes we can just kind of get to you know what I mean? If we're not awake, if we're not watchful. And this is a call for us to stay awake. What I say to you, I say to everyone: watch. Be watchful. Be wakeful, is what he's saying. And I think in a lot of ways, as we look at the church culture in our country, this is a call for us to wake up, period. Wake up, church. We're so comfortable. Wake up. I'm coming. You don't know when. I've given each one to perform a task. What are we doing? Are we just stuck in a holding pattern? Are we just waiting, biding our time? Some of us trying to figure out when, looking at all the signs, and are we close? Yes, we're close. Guys, we've been in the end times since Jesus ascended. We're in the end times. We've been in the end times. We're close. He's coming back at any time. And we don't know when. You can't figure that out. And we can't forget that we've been given these tasks, and that's to go make disciples of all nations. That's why we're here. And we've lost this excitement, this urgency and he's chosen you and me to do that. And that's our purpose. How awesome is that? So don't fall asleep. Stay awake. I found an interesting illustration. Another pastor wrote this about a church. And he says this. He says, There were 200 members. Just tell me if, as we're reading this, sometimes this can sound familiar in church culture. There are 200 members who could work, but 20 said they're too old. That left 180. But 18 said they were too timid to try. So that left 162 to do the work. But 37 said they're too tired to do it. That left 125. But 20 were made to go to church when they were young, and they don't want to participate now. That left 105 to work. But 20 have too many aches and pains. That left 85 to do the work. But 35 of those are indifferent, which left 50 to work. But 40 felt that attending occasionally was enough. That left 10 to work. But 9 are overloaded already. So that left 1 to work. And he says, and I'm so discouraged that I don't want to do anything either. Man, and here's, as I read that, this was what came to my mind. And I just want to say this, and I don't believe it is, but may that never, ever be NLCC. And I pray that church-wide everywhere, may that never be the church. May we spring out of that. May we wake up. Each one of us has a call. If you've given your life to Christ, you have a call. You've been given a gift. Are you awake and using it? Have you fallen asleep? Have you fallen asleep? I love Charles Spurgeon, old preacher, says this, and we're going to put it up on the screen. If sinners will be damned, at least let them leap to hell over our bodies. And if they will perish, let them perish with our arms around their knees, imploring them to stay. If hell must be filled, at least let it be filled with the teeth of our exertions, and let not one go there unwarned and unprayed for. Man, there's that sense of urgency. What a quote, man. What a picture. I love that. If they're going to go to hell, then they need to leap over our bodies. Because we know our mission, we know our purpose, we're awake, and we are aware, and we are on guard, and we are watchful, and we are on fire, and we are unstoppable in Jesus. May that be said of us. And that starts with my heart. I can't do anything about your heart. Nothing. But you can. And that starts with us as individuals first. And we come together as a church. And man, then we just blow things up in Jesus' name. Not literally. You know what I mean. So, I want to ask some questions as we close. And just walk back through some of this. We're close with some scripture, but just questions again that rattle around in my head this week is, am I really awake? As Jesus says, be on guard, be alert, be watchful, which again means be wakeful. Am I wide awake? Or have I just kind of drifted off into to sleep or sleepwalking? Am I just going through the motions? Are you going through the motions right now as we speak? I'm at church because that's what I do. Have you come intentionally, wanting to worship, wanting to encourage one another? Am I actively seeking people in my life that are lost? Am I loving them in Jesus' name? Or have I fallen asleep? I think we know. What do my actions say? What is my life saying? We've asked that question so much, but it's so true. What happens when I go to work? What does my life say? What do my priorities say? Am I active in the mission that he's given me? Am I fulfilling the tasks like in this story that he told? Am I doing my assigned task that he's given me to do? Am I keeping watch? Have I been deceived? Lost my focus? And I'm more focused on some of these mysteries and details that really aren't details because he doesn't give it, and I'm spending all my time trying to figure this stuff out, and I'm neglecting my mission. There are people, we do that sometimes. Trying to figure out the things we don't know and we're not gonna know. God is too big. And anyone who thinks he knows it doesn't know squat. God is way too big. There are mysteries after mystery in here. We just seek his face. Am I too focused on that and lost sense of my mission? And then this question was proposed this week, and wow, it made me sit back and think about this. And then I want to read some scripture. So I'm going to ask this question: did anyone here wake up this morning thinking he may come back today? Anybody wake up this morning thinking that? I didn't. And I've been studying this all week, which tells you how pathetic I am. Anyone wake up thinking today could be the day? It could be the day. Are we awake, guys? It's a good question. Are we being watchful? Have we drifted off into American Christianity of comfort and a little bit of Jesus and I'm all good? I don't know. That's a really good question. A really good question. And I want to kind of just drop that in your lap. I'm sorry, but you take that one and do what you want with it. But Jesus is saying, be watchful. I'm coming. Are you ready? Are you alert? Are you on guard? A lot of people are going to say a lot of stuff that's not true. Do we know when it comes? Or are we aware of it? You guys believe he's coming back? Are we ready? Are we ready? I'm going to have you guys stand. And I want to just close with some scripture. Again, just Paul is writing to the first Thessalonians, which is true. They were probably the first Thessalonians, but the Thessalonian church. And chapter 5, and he just reminds some of these things too. He's talking about God coming back, Jesus coming back. And I want to read verses 1 through 6. And then just listen to what he says here again, just as another great reminder. He says, "Now, brothers, about the times and dates we do not need to write you, for you know very well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. While people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly, as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. But you, brothers, are not in darkness, that this day should surprise you like a thief. You are all sons of the light and sons of the day. We do not belong to the night or to the darkness. So then, let us not be like the others who are asleep." Catch that? "But let us be alert and self-controlled." Just a reminder to the Thessalonians as well. I think the church falling asleep has probably been a pretty common problem as we live in the cultures that we live in, all throughout history. And so it's our time now. Again, we've said that before too, but it's our time. And may we be awake, may we be alert, and may we do what God has called us to do. If you've got a decision you need to make this morning, if you've got something on your heart that you'd like to bring, please bring it. Find me or Dad or one of our elders or Kevin or Silas or someone here that you trust. Doesn't have to be one of the staff at all. If you know someone here that you trust that follows Jesus and you need to go to them, man, go to them today. Don't walk out of here without making that decision or bringing that to a brother or a sister so we can walk alongside or they can walk alongside you. Let's pray, guys, and then we'll be deployed. Father, thank you for your word, God, and again, I just pray that we heard exactly what you wanted us to hear. And Lord, there are so many things in Scripture that, man, we still don't understand. And I know there are things we're not meant to. And God, we trust you with those. And I thank you for what, God, the concrete things that you tell us. We know you're coming back. We trust in your promise that you're going to come get all those who know you and who belong to you. And Father, until that time comes, may we remain watchful. Give us the strength to be alert and on guard and be wakeful, doing the things you've called us to do. Not just, holding up the sign saying, "Come back, Jesus," and doing nothing, but to go make disciples of all nations so that others will be brought to you. God, may we do that at home. May we do that at work. May we do that at school. As we go back here in a couple weeks, some of us, wherever we're at, God, give us a sense of urgency and keep us awake. Help us to remind each other, Lord, as a church and as a family, to encourage one another in this, to remind each other of what's most important. Father, we love you and we thank you, and we just pray these things in your name. Amen. Amen. You're deployed.